Welcome to my channel on the best of fantasy. Today I have a very special guest. This is my daughter,
Hi everyone.
Rohana, and she is visiting right now, and she offered me the opportunity to have a discussion with her on my channel. So I thought, wow, of course. And we are going to be talking about books as a source of bonding. So books as bonding and inspiration and all that, which is a very appropriate topic for BookTube, but also because I think a lot of the bonding that we did as you were growing up, Rohana, was over books. I think it's pretty safe to say. I've talked about it actually quite a few times on my channel. I've had your sister in several videos, and you've been in one video before.
One.
Just one so far. But this will be the second. That first one was our discussion of the Broken Earth trilogy, which was really, I think it was the fourth video I ever made for the channel. Yes. Your sister beat you, though, because the third video I made was the Harry Potter one with her.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, obviously that's going to be more popular. I heard that one did pretty well, so.
Yeah, actually, I think in terms of views, the Broken Earth one has more views than the Harry Potter one. So.
Wow, well, there you go.
There you go. So. Anyway, yeah, so Rohana is going to be asking me some questions about books and about bonding over books. And I think she has some questions about what I do here on the channel. But first, we're going to talk about how you and I bonded over books. And we have some pictures, actually, if you would grab those. And I'll put these on the video so everyone can see them. So this is a picture of when you were actually just born. Like you're less than a week old in this picture.
I have to say, I look like E.T. I'm not gonna lie. I look like an alien.
Cute. You're a cute little bean. You're a cute little bean. That's a newborn picture right there. And I'm holding you in one hand, and I'm holding a book in the other hand. And yes, I actually literally started reading to you as soon as
Fresh
you were
out of the womb.
Right out of the womb.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, but and this is when you were a little older. But you can see in this picture how we used to read together.
And we used to do this like all the time.
Yeah. This was kind of our ritual.
As long as I was small enough to lay on your chest.
You were lying on my chest and I was reading. And this looks like a book that I was reading for myself, though. Probably for my
for
grad student stuff. Yeah. But I would have read to you this way as well. So that's a fun one. And then here we are together, and
this one's so precious.
Yeah, I love how.
I also loved that book. It was the
Berenstein's Christmas one.
Yeah,
book. That one was fun. Yeah, and you are crossing your legs in imitation of your daddy.
And also, when he used to read to me, he used to do the voices of all the characters really well.
Oh yeah, we love doing voices.
Yeah.
Yep. And you got to a point where, of course, you read on your own. And
yeah.
Here you are with your little backpack.
Although at first, I think I did that thing where, because I made my parents read the same books to me over and over and over
again. Yeah.
So even before I could actually read, I just had them all memorized.
Yes, that's true.
I feel like I was maybe only 2 or 3 in this picture, and I probably had at least a few of those books memorized.
Yeah, you were 2 here. This is 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably had them memorized, and you squeaked out the words in your cute little voice. And then here you are actually reading, and at this point you are 3, and you are reading on your own, and obviously again sort of imitating Daddy. Here I am reading something for grad school, and there you are reading your book. And we were like reading buddies then, right?
Yeah, it's definitely also interesting. I mean, overall I feel really lucky, but both of my parents were always reading all the time because they were both graduate students, so it was definitely a very kind of like cosmopolitan upbringing, but I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, and speaking of both of your parents, I just threw this one in because I wanted everyone to see where you got your good looks from, and it's not me.
Well, I think it's safe to say both of you were pretty good looking, but
oh well.
I did not want to look at the camera in this.
Not you were pretending to be shy in that one. So you can see both your mother and I were trying to coax you to look at the camera there. So, but no, that was a lot of fun, and that's where we lived in those days. Nice trees. So yeah, so we did a lot of bonding over the years with books.
Yeah.
And do you remember which ones were your favorites, or?
Oh my God, that's hard to say, but definitely, Are You My Mother? Although I forget the name of the author.
Yeah,
But
I know that one.
there was
Yeah.
that little hound dog on the cover.
Yep.
And of course, Cat in the Hat, the classic.
Yep.
Also, Where Are You? Wait, is it Where Are You, Emery Raccoon?
Oh, it's the 249th Friend.
Yes.
Is the title of the
The
book.
200,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
That was really beautiful.
But that features Emery Raccoon. Yeah.
About learning to love yourself.
Yeah.
Which is super important.
Yep.
Green Eggs and Ham, for sure. I think I had that memorized. Like, I could spit the whole thing out
Yes.
at a certain point.
I can remember a couple that I really loved reading to, and I think they were your favorites too. One was Beatrix Potter, the Beatrix Potter books.
All of the Peter Rabbit books.
Yeah.
I loved those. Oh my gosh, and Winnie the Pooh.
And that was the other one I was
Yeah.
going to say is the Winnie the Pooh. I think if you were to ask me which one was your favorite, I would have said Winnie the Pooh would be my first answer.
Yeah.
So, yes. Oh, and we're being reminded of Dr. Seuss as well. We did cover Dr. Seuss, yeah.
I mean, quite a few. Like, I had a lot of Dr. Seuss books.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, Winnie the Pooh always will have a special place in my heart. And we had, I mean, I watched the show, like the Disney show, but we also had like the original books with the original illustrations by A.A. Milne.
Yeah. Yep.
And we also had audiobooks that he would play for me when he would drive me to preschool.
Yep.
And I still remember that. He would also let me sit in the front seat.
Oh. And sometimes there was a monster under the car too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Those were fun days.
Young
yeah.
parents, am I right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you were the first, so you were kind of like the experiment, right?
That's true. That's what they all say. Well,
Yeah.
Speaking of parenting,
Yes.
the first question I have for you here are, how were books and reading a part of your parenting? Do you think reading to your children shapes who they become?
Okay, so the second part is a big yes. I would say you are, in a way, your personality, your personhood is in some way, every story you encounter, every story you read becomes part of who you are, I think.
Definitely.
So.
And when I really liked a book, I used to fantasize, especially when I was little, I used to fantasize that I was in it. Like when I was in my Harry Potter phase, like
Oh yeah.
I was practically convinced that my Hogwarts letter would arrive at any moment.
Oh
Like,
yes.
I thought I could do magic. I had like a wand and everything. So yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and of course we read The Hobbit, so you were in the Shire and Middle Earth and all that, and
Yeah.
and another series I think we read together when you were slightly older was His Dark Materials, the Philip Pullman one. That was
Yeah.
a good trilogy.
We read that at the same time, kind of like
Yep.
you read one book first and then I read it, and then you read the second book and then I read it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was fun. Yeah. So good. What was the other part of the question?
Well, how are books and reading a part of parenting?
Oh, the parenting part. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that I probably made some mistakes as a parent, like letting you sit in the front seat of the car on the way to pre-K.
I mean, that was fun.
Yeah, I'm sure. But as a parent, I did do one thing. I'm convinced that I did one thing really well, and that was to read to you. And that I am so glad I did. And it was a big source of bonding. It was a big source of us just being together and having stories in common. Because as much as stories become part of you, they also become part of your relationships with other people.
Yeah.
And this is a really cool thing, and it's something that everybody who participates in BookTube would definitely relate to, I think. So.
Also from excuse me for interrupting, but
No, it's okay.
I'm currently working on a master's in early childhood education.
Yep.
And from a child development approach, reading to your babies, especially like as soon as they're born, every single day is one of the best things you can do for your child's psychosocial, linguistic development, cognitive development. It's so important because just from hearing your voice is such an important act of bonding.
Yep.
And then also being spoken to is how we learn language. So
Yeah.
when you are a baby, you have the most neurons and brain cells you'll ever have in your life. And so it's just a matter of making those synaptic connections between them. And whichever ones you don't make connections with, they get pruned away, like they die.
Right.
So if you are a new parent or you have a young child, read to your kids. It's super, super, super important. It'll give them such a step up in life, for sure.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree with that. So yeah, thank you. So yeah, I would say in answer to your question, it's one of my very best memories when I'm, however old I'll be at the end, I'll look back and I think some of my very best memories will be reading to you and your sister, and the stories that brought us together. I think it's just a beautiful thing that stories can do that for people.
Yeah.
And
speaking of stories bringing people together, in the interest of your near 10,000 subscriber milestone, not quite there yet, getting close.
Getting there.
What have you learned from BookTube, and how do you think it's changed you?
Okay, yeah. Wow. I have learned a ton of things from BookTube. And I'll go back to when I was first thinking about doing something like having a channel on YouTube that is dedicated to fantasy. I didn't know a lot about BookTube then, and I didn't know much at all. And it was just sort of a very quick education. So I thought I would be coming out here and doing something that not many people, or maybe no one even had done before, by talking about fantasy on YouTube.
That's really funny.
That's pretty, it just shows you how naive I was. And I thought I would be talking about, kind of like I do in a classroom, because I have that course that I created at my college where I teach fantasy novels. And really this was sort of an extension of that in a way. I wanted to have more opportunities to talk to people about fantasy and explore it critically, which I thought there's room for critical exploration of a lot of great fantasy. So I thought I'd be doing that and perhaps sort of putting on my teacher hat. Well, it turned out that just like with normal teaching, I end up learning more than anything. And I have learned so much from the people I've interacted with, whether they be viewers and people who leave comments, or other creators, people who have their own channels. Just every interaction I've had has been so amazing, and so it's taught me a lot. I have learned a lot about the genre of fantasy, and I've learned a lot about myself, and I've learned a lot about community. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned from BookTube, actually, is it's about the people, even more than it is about the books and the relationships and the community that we're all part of. And that's something you hear booktubers talk about a lot, but it really is true, and it is very special. And so that is something I learned, because I didn't come into this expecting to make a bunch of really good friends, and that is what's happened. I have been very fortunate to meet some really cool people on BookTube.
It seems like a very nice community.
It is a very nice community, yeah. Lots of people who just love talking about books, but also sharing and helping each other and reaching out, and just, yeah, it's really great. It's a nice place to be, I would say. The 99% of my interactions have been extremely positive in that sense. So that is one thing I learned, that it's about community, it's about people, even more than it is about books. So for sure.
And how has it changed you think?
It's interesting. I think that it's probably, BookTube has made me a little more open-minded, and has taught me that I can name certain series and books that I probably would not have read if it hadn't been for people who I've interacted with on BookTube. So, for example, Stephen King's Dark Tower series, and I also got into John Gwynn's books, The Faithful and the Fallen, and the of Blood and Bone, which I'm currently reading. And I loved his book, The Shadow of the Gods. So there's another example. And also, there are certain series that I had started to become familiar with before BookTube, but have become much more invested in as a result of my interactions in the series like Robin Hobb's Realm of the Elderlings, and of course, Stephen Erickson's The Malazan Book of the Fallen, but the entire Malazan world, including the books by Ian Esselmont. So that's been a fantastic thing. And I've really learned a lot, especially because of the collaborations.
Mhm.
And I didn't know I'd be doing these collaborations when I started. I thought it would be a little bit more lonely, but again, it's
Yeah.
about community. So I've done this, for example, the big one I've been doing is I've been working with AP Canavan, whose channel is A Critical Dragon, on the Malazan books. And boy, let me tell you, I would rank that right up there with writing my dissertation for my PhD as a literary journey, as an experience that has been just
You hear
transformative.
that, AP?
Yeah, because AP, my nemesis, is actually a pretty smart guy, and he's a lot of fun as well. And I think just the fact that we're doing this together has made the experience just so much more meaningful than it would have been on my own. So it's something I deeply appreciate. Is that again, it goes back to the community aspect of it, I think.
Yeah.
And the bonds that we form over books. It's really something beautiful, I think. So yeah.
I have to say, I never imagined my old dad getting good at the internet.
Yeah, I'm still kind of a social media idiot in many ways. I mean, I'm kind of on Twitter. I have a Twitter thing.
That's true. You are.
And that's sort of, it's a side thing I'm learning a bit here and there, but it really is about YouTube mostly for me. I haven't yet gotten brave enough to do, what's the one? Instagram.
I don't think you need to.
Okay, well, maybe I won't. But it is something that I never thought I would do. That I was even, I'm sorry to admit this, but I was dismissive of social media as something that is actually conducive to real community or a place where you could learn stuff. But I'm happy to have been proven wrong. So, yeah. So I've learned a lot, and a little bit of humility, because you have to recognize sometimes when you're wrong, and that's definitely part of the growing. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, that all sounds really great.
Yeah. It's been a very positive thing for me, and I continue to bond with people over books and various series, and to feel part of something bigger than oneself is a very wonderful thing. And so I'm very thankful to all of my viewers and fellow creators that I've interacted with. I just wish I had more time to, because I've met so many really wonderful people and really bright people.
Yeah, it seems like that.
Who are doing stuff that is similar to what I'm doing or even a little different, and I wish I had more time. I'm subscribed to, I don't know, maybe this doesn't sound like a lot to some people, but I'm probably close to 200 channels, and there's no way I can watch a fraction of the videos, but I do my best to peek at what other people are doing, and because I always learn when I watch other people's content too, so that's also part of it. But yeah, so it's been a really positive thing, and books were always going to be part of my life, but I feel like doing this YouTube thing has made them even, because of being able to be part of this community, has made them even more special in that sense. So sharing these journeys with lots of really wonderful people. So, but you and your sister were some of the first ones I got to share
That's true.
journeys with.
We were his first subscribers. If you will.
That's true. That's very true. My first viewers. Yeah. So.
Well, that's it for my questions.
Okay. Well, you know what, Rohana? This has been a very fun conversation.
Yeah.
And thank you for being willing to chat with me while you're visiting here.
Yeah.
And it's always wonderful to see you. It's amazing to me that you're all grown up. And
Me too.
I still feel like you're that little girl in the pictures that I'm reading to, but now you're teaching yourself and doing some really beautiful things with your own life. But I hope that books will always be a part of your story too.
Thank you. They will.
Okay. Well, then, thank you so much for doing this, and I love you.
I love you.
All right, everyone. Till next time.
Till next time.